this. It says I'm live. Very good. Hello everybody. First of all, apologies. My connector broke. So does that come on camera? I have no idea if that's going to come on camera. But yeah, so I'm not using my my proper camera right now. I'm actually using my webcam, which is a bit of an annoyance, but it is what it is. Just doing a little ad hoc stream right now, working on my little John's TPS demo, and seeing if we can make it work in VR. I'm not expecting a whole lot because this is a demo that does quite a lot of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how well it runs in high resolution stereoscopic and on my index, which is set to 120 hertz. So yeah, we'll see how well that works. But it's a first step. I just want to do a prototype of this, see if I can make it work, and yeah, see how well it runs or how bad it runs, and then see if we can actually optimize it. And obviously we won't do that in one night. I'm only planning to be online for an hour or so. But we'll see how far we get in there. Now I have started already, as you can see on screen. I had some fun with a few things. I'm actually going to, where's my little mouse? Here we go. If we look at the original menu in here, you can see that that was just actually just a 2D menu that was just presented on screen, and that was overlain on the 3D scene. Where's the oh, the 3D scene is just here. So we got Robbie here, or whatever the robot is called. Whoa. There we go. There we go. There's a good friend Robbie. And then we just had a 2D menu overlaid there. That's the original startups scene that we have here. And one of the things that I found very interesting, and this is a little sneak peek behind the scenes about how these things are set up. You see that there's a black ground plane there. And we can see that there's a bunch of game assets underneath. And then, you know, when we've got our camera here that we're looking at and we see our robot, then our ground plane nicely hides the game assets. And the nice thing about this is that means that the all the shaders and stuff like that that are related to these game assets, they get loaded and compiled all up front. So that's a nice little trick that they applied here. Hi, Master Ox. This is, and I probably should have played the original first. Not sure if I have the original still loaded somewhere. But this is the TPS demo that Godot has. Let me have a quick look if I can actually find that online. Let's have a look. Here we go. So let's play it a little bit. Oh, look, it's actually already all the way from the start. So let's go here. So this is just a playback of the original game. So you got Robbie the robot running around. I think it's called Robbie. I might have gotten that wrong. But he's running around nicely, and this is a nice little demo level that John and a couple of other people made to show off Godot's capabilities. And it's just a single level, and you can run around and you can shoot some enemies, and yeah, just to show off the rendering engine in Godot. And just for fun, I am trying to make it work in VR. So we'll have a look at how far we get with that. In the original setup, we have a main scene. That's the scene that's originally loaded. And there's actually nothing in the main scene originally. The code simply starts off in ready, and it would call go to main menu, and that would actually run the main menu scene. Now, I've added a little bit more in here. because the levels that it loads would have a camera in each level. But with VR, we want the player setup to be instantiated at one time, and we want to use that throughout the life cycle of the game. We don't want to keep recreating that every time we change levels. So our player character is actually inside of our main scene, and there's a new node here called level, which is just a spatial node, and it's under this where the level actually loads. So when the game starts, what you see now is that it will load up that menu VR scene, which is the scene that we have over here. And once it's loaded by the resource loader, it will call change scene, which is over here, and change scene will remove the previous level. So that's the first thing that it does. Then it will add the new level as a child node to our level node, sets up a few signals. That's actually also something that the original did. But then there's a little bit more on the VR side. We center our HMD so that we know that regardless of where in room tracking the player is, the player will now be centered on the origin node. And after that, we will move the player to a spawn point. Now, the way that works is if we look at our menu scene here, that's actually now subclassed or extended from another level. And that level has a spawn point spatial in there. And all we're doing is removing that spawn point to where we want the player to start. And it's actually on the ground because that's the origin point that we're going to put there. So our player is actually going to stand on that point and look around the scene. And that allows us to place the player's starting position when a new level loads. And again, that's also why the center on HMD is important. Now, the center of HMD when the game starts isn't very reliable because the headset hasn't started tracking yet. But for tonight, that is good enough. So we've got our player coming in here. Now, the other thing that we've done is we've removed the 2D part of this scene. So in the original, we could see that, I'm just going to close that one. In the original menu, we had our menu in the 2D nodes, and we had everything in the main scene, as you can see here. That's all gone in the in this setup, and instead I am using where are you? Why can't I see it? I'm blind here. My UI node. I'm using a subscene from my, oh, that's something that I almost forgot. So there's two add-ons that we loaded in here. Both add-ons are, by the way, from the asset library. So I'm using stock standard assets here. So if you search for OpenXR in the asset library, you will find the OpenXR plugin. So that one's installed in this project. And if you look for XR tools, you can find the extra tools AR/VR helper library in there as well. So those are two libraries that I use, and one of the things that is in our XR tools library is this, what's it called? This viewport 2D in 3D node, which basically creates a screen in our scene, and you can then set a 2D scene, which is this one. So you can see that that one is set to menu UI scene. So let's go and open that. Here we go. And that is now our 2D scene. And this is a copy, as you can see with all the things. It's a direct copy from what is in the original menu. It's a few little changes because it's no longer in the same structure. But basically all the items are there. I'm still working on a few of them. So the full screen is turned off and the resolution is turned off because don't make so much noise, my phone. The resolution is off. And the full screen is off because those don't have any meaning in VR. Hey, Rodzilla, how you going? But all the other options are still there. But you can see that, yeah, there's different parts in it. So we got our main part, which is then our play settings script. And then we have our settings part. And originally there was also a loading part in there. But I'm going to solve the loading part differently. Or I might put it back in. I haven't really decided yet, but I think that I'm going to solve the loading part differently. But using that viewport 2D and 3D does two things. The first is it will make sure that that scene that we've created is rendered to a viewport, and that output of that viewport is now shown on here. But as you can see, it also has a collision shape, and that's that gray little box that you see here. And that collision shape allows us to detect if we're pointing at the screen and where we're pointing at the screen. And that's all implemented in that viewport 2D and 3D. So all the logic that we need to interact with the screen is in there, and it piggybacks on Godot's internal mouse event system. So it actually works with a pointer. So if we go back to our player, so our player scene that I've created. So here's our AR/VR. Can you see that? Yeah, our AR/VR origin node. Then this is based on the OpenXR plugin. So you'll find in the OpenXR plugin a folder called Scenes, and you'll find a first-person controller scene and script in here. Now this is a version of that controller script, but I'm actually this controller scene, but I'm actually using the controller script. If you look at the script that's here, you'll see that I'm extending that first-person controller script. And that first-person controller script, that does all the initialization of OpenXR for us, so we don't have to worry about that, and sets up a bunch of signals and all that sort of stuff. Now, the other thing that's just really cool about this version of OpenXR, this is the latest release that we've done. It supports Windows, Linux, and the Oculus Quest. So in theory, we should be able to pull this out on the Oculus Quest. Now, this game, I don't think the Oculus Quest is powerful enough to run it in the way that it is at this point in time. But Kellenau, Hugo, has done a lot of work changing the demo to use light maps and set it up for Glass 2. So there is a chance that once we've got this working on our index and on the PC, that we start looking at Hugo's version. And that won't be tonight. I don't think we will get that far. But then eventually we'll look at Hugo's version and see if we can actually get that to run on the Quest. That might actually work relatively well. I'm definitely pretty convinced that it would run on a Quest 2. Unfortunately, I've got a Quest 1 here. That might be asking a little bit much. But we'll see. But the point is that, you know, it is all set up. It's all part of the OpenXR plugin that we're using here. So it's you build it once and you deploy it to different things. Now, did I just close my player? Of course I closed my player script. Why would I not keep it open? So we got our player, our AR/VR origin node there. We've got our configuration set up. Generally speaking, you can leave that alone. We obviously have an AR/VR camera, so that's the the tracked object that will track our position of our headset. And then we have two AR/VR controllers, one for the left hand, which is always on controller ID 1, and one for the right hand, which is on controller ID 2. So that part of the setup is all standard objects for Godot. But then you can see that we've got these nodes called function pointer on both the left hand and the right hand. And this again is a scene that comes from our XR tools. So we have all these functions here. These are all scenes that you can add to a AR/VR controller, and they will add functionality to the AR/VR controller. And in this case, what we've done is we've used that pointer scene here. And all that pointer scene does is it adds a raycast. It adds a laser object that shows you visually where you're pointing. And it adds a bunch of code that will make this thing work and interact with objects. So the code here interacts with the code on our... oh, that's the wrong one. On our viewport 2D in 3D. So those two together will allow us to point on things and interact with that. This is not a game that I'm going to publish. This is something that obviously, if it works, I'll make the source code available to everybody. This is just an experiment. I just want to see whether we can make this work. See if we can, showcase some of the capabilities that we have in Godot. Showcase the obviously the XR tools library and the OpenXR library, so that we have a nice little demo project that we can show off. Like, hey, this is what Godot can do in VR. Although on that subject, I don't know if people have been following the news. Let's see if I can quickly find it. Of course, I've forgotten the name. Jean did a poll earlier in the week. And I want to see if I can find the original from Benny. Benny, where are you? And someone reacted to it and said, hey, did you know about this game that someone made in Godot? And of course it's going to run a bloody commercial first. Check this one out if you have a chance. This is a game. Oh, that's music is going a bit crazy. This is a game that was originally made on a game jam as a normal 2D game in Haksei, I think it is. And someone took that game project because it was made available and turned it into a Godot VR game. I don't like this song, but there has to be a better one in here. Yeah. Yeah, you can play this for free. It's you can download them from itch and you can download them on SideQuest. So yeah, if you're into VR and you want to see a cool game made in Godot VR that is pretty damn polished, go check that one out. I was very impressed when I found that one. Anyway, enough of a side step there. So back at this. So like I said, on the main scene, we've set up our player. Our player has those two function pointers. So we have a function pointer on our left controller and on our right controller. However, we have a script here that defines on which hand our controller, oh, actually, first of all, whether our controllers or whether our pointers are even enabled, because obviously I want this to be enabled in the menu, but once we then load the level, then the pointers are no longer relevant. I want to disable the pointers if there's no UI for it to interact with. But if they are enabled, I've either got the left pointer or the right pointer enabled. And all that we're doing here is we're capturing the button presses. And if we press the button on our left controller, and currently our right controller is the one that has the pointer enabled, I'm actually going to enable the pointer on the left hand and disable the pointer on the right hand. If I have a button press on the right hand while the left hand pointer is enabled, I'm swapping them the other way around, which means that as long as I use the hand where the pointer is enabled, then that hand will interact with the UI. But if I put an input on the other hand, it will automatically switch over to the other hand, and now the other hand will be the hand that allows you to interact with the UI, which means that I've now suddenly got an automatic switch for people who are left-handed and want to use the left-hand pointer, and people who are right-handed who want to use the right-hand pointer. Now, be aware, I'm sitting down right now. The game is set up for assuming that the player is standing up, so you'll see that I'm going to be quite low in the scene. I haven't gotten something in there that will automatically raise the player. I didn't get that far yet. But just to show how far I am with this, power my controllers on. This one turned itself off. All right. Now it needs to go tracking first. There we go, it's tracking. So there's my robot. Oh, I still have the debug things off. And of course, when you can't see anything, you drop stuff on the floor. Hey, Peter. Nice of you to join from the other side of the world. All right, let me just quickly turn off the collision shapes. I'm actually going to go and I hope that the sound, by the way, is not too loud and not reverberating, because I think the sound is from the game is going to be picked up by the microphone. So, oh, I haven't made this resizable. Anyway, actually, I'm just going to hold it like this so I can see what I'm doing. So there's our little robot. Now, normally, I'm actually quite far away from the center of my play area because I'm sitting down in front of my computer. So normally when I play, I'm actually somewhat in the middle of my room. So that's also why right now I'm actually quite far to the left and quite a lot more forward than I'm supposed to be. But normally when you start this game, when you're properly centered, you're actually standing in front of our little robot, which is, well, let's say it doesn't do it justice on the screen capture. When you actually got the headset on, it is quite cool to see the robot standing in front of you. He's actually about a head smaller than I am. Yeah, I'm afraid, S-Max, I'm afraid that the sound is probably going to be horrible for this. For some reason, my Elgato isn't picking up the sound, and even if it was, then actually that's probably a good idea. Let me have a look if I can make that work. One sec. Let's just keep that playing. Oh, when the tracking goes, then all of a sudden this thing hits the floor. Ah, that doesn't really matter. Go and do that. Hold on, I'm just going to go into my audio settings. So I've got my audio mirrored between my headset and the system default. So if I'm going to go and put this one, why does that say NVIDIA high definition audio? That doesn't make any sense. But I think that is my Elgato. So if I do that, and I now start it, then I should only be hearing the music in my headset now. Yeah. Then I'll need to go to OBS over here. All right, guys, let me know if that's too loud or not. But it should be playing the sound of the game through there. Now, I don't know if there's sound in the home environment of Steam, because you guys are gonna hear that sound. I don't think so. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything anymore in my headset when the game is off, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy about that. Okay. The other thing that I really want to do very quickly is go to my Windows settings. Where is that? Here we go. It is set to resizable, so why couldn't I resize it? Let's make it a bit bigger. 124 by. What's it say? I don't want to make it full screen because, first of all, that's just going to. There we go. This is a bit bigger. That's just going to. Yeah, overload things, I guess. Well, it should actually not be a big problem. This is a pretty. I'm running this on a 2070 RTX, so we should have CPU cycles to spare. Anyway, let's go and have a look at whether our controllers work. Now, I don't have controller models loaded right now, so you don't actually see the controller models, but you see my little laser pointer. Just for testing, I've got the little ball showing where I'm hitting. But if I now press the button on my other controller, you'll see that it switches to the other pointer. And if I press that one again, then I go over to that one. So now I can use my right hand and I can go through these. Now, it's not very clear, but as I'm hovering over these settings or over these options, you should see them light up a little bit. So let's go to settings because that should work. There we go. So there's our settings menu that comes up. This is the settings menu that came out of the original game. And we should be able to just switch between these options. I'm going to leave that actually at 2, but I could say, you know, my SSO. And of course, in this menu scene, we don't really see an effect. You go to high bloom, I guess. I think it's probably going to apply that the moment that that the game starts. I'm not going to hit play yet because I haven't worked on that yet. It'll probably try loading stuff, but might also just go into errors. And I should be able to quit my game. Hi, Robbie. Well, the quit works, so that's pretty cool. All right, so that's how far I've gotten with this when I started with it. Yeah, well, that's the thing, S-Max, is I put quite a bit of work in the XR tools library. But I've noticed that a lot of people just start with their own implementation because generally they don't know that it even exists. So that's another thing that I really want to do, is make sure that people are aware that there is an XR tools library that you can download from the asset library, and it all just works out of the box. Now, I have tried to set the library up. This is one of the things that I recently changed. Originally, you had to do a lot of setup with what do you call it? With the physics layers and stuff like that, and I've tried to simplify that a lot. Now, in this case, I did overrule it. So normally the function pointer works on every layer, but I've moved it just into layer 4. And that's mostly because if you look at our menu and you look at the fact that we've got a bunch of things, and you can see this big circle here. That's some sort of collision shape that belongs to our enemy character. I guess that's the area that that the enemy character sort of scans. But it turns out that the pointers were interacting with that as well. So I've made sure that our pointers are on layer 4, and that when we look at our UI, we see that our UI is also put on layer 4. So the pointers only interact with the screen. That's a nice little thingy. But the other thing is, because of the way that this works, there's nothing VR about the UI. The UI that we're interacting with is a normal stock standard UI. I could actually start this up in a normal Godot environment. To be exact, my plan eventually would be that if this becomes part of the demo, would be to replace the menu in the non-VR version by our UI here as well, and make sure that they use the same subscene. Hi, Raji. Nice of you to join us. Hoi, Boeke. Ook welkom. So, all right. So when we're looking at this UI here, we can see that, for instance, our settings button simply has got our pressed set to our on settings pressed function, and that will automatically, when we press that, and that's what we just tried out, it will hide the main menu. So that will hide, you know, our 3 button options, and that will show the settings menu, which is that whole thing. And then it puts the focus on the action cancel button, which in VR obviously has very little effect. There's not real, no real reason to put focus on any of these buttons, but yeah, whatever. But my point is that this is the code that's exactly the same code as coming from. Oh shit! My battery is running low. It says, why is my power isn't plugged in properly? Is that good now? That is plugged in right now. This the power cord of this laptop seems to always like to fall out of it. So yeah, that was almost a very short stream. So all we can see here is that we're grabbing information from our settings object. I'm guessing that's a that's probably an autoloaded script, isn't it? Yeah, so settings is an autoloaded script. So it's getting all the settings from there, enabling the buttons as a result of it. If our quit button is pressed, then we run that. So that's a quit button over here. Oh, didn't want to do that. So where's our play button? Oh yeah, so my play pressed, I just emit a play pressed signal to send that back to our main window. So that's all good. And then the functions that we have over here, well, the only ones that we really have is our apply pressed. So that's when the user presses apply, and that that applies all our settings. Although all that it does in this case is it sets the settings back into our settings object. So I do think that those things aren't actually applied until we start the game, which is fine. So, and then yeah, the full screen and resolution settings are obviously disabled because they have no meaning in VR because we are doing everything on the headset. That's all that we care about. When the cancel is pressed, all we do is we show our main menu again. We put focus on our play button, which again doesn't really matter much, and we hide our settings menu. So that's all the code there, and that's stock standard Godot code. This is exactly the same code that you would do for a normal game. It's no different in VR. All that is handled by that viewport object and the interaction with our pointer system. Now, one of the other things that I'm still working on that's actually not yet in the XR tools is being able to actually touch the screen with your finger. I want to make it that you could walk up to that menu and press it with your finger and interact with it that way. But that's for later. All right. So there's some other stuff that's disabled here. We're back in our menu scene, so where our robot is and where our UI is and all that sort of stuff. Because that's the code that we now need to start changing over, because the next step that we want to do is we want to go from our menu to our actual game. So there's only one level in this game, which interestingly isn't level. Again, the original scene is this one. This one takes a little longer to load. It's a little bit bigger. There we go. Yeah, a tiny bit bigger. That's a big level. So yeah, that's the level that we're actually in. But obviously I've duplicated that as a VR version of that scene because we need to go and change that. Now, when we look at this, we're going to go find our player. Here's our player. Here's Robbie the Robot, the player. And that's the player that we would normally control with our keyboard or our gamepad. But that obviously doesn't apply in VR. For now, I'm just going to hide this guy. I'm not actually going to do anything other than hide him. Eventually, I want to remove him and then steal some of his parts, because we're going to use his arms to actually move the, show when you're moving the controller around and all that sort of stuff. But this is not going to be a third-person demo where we're still controlling the robot and we're looking at, down on him or something like that. We're actually going to be the robot. That's the whole idea of what we're doing in this demo. Now, that also means that we need to go and move our spawn point to where our robot is. So our spawn point is right now way over there. Now, I always wish that there was a way to just copy this. Is there a way to copy this? I don't think so. So I'm just going to have to copy it one by one into our spawn point. So that's going to be over there. There we go. That's -1. I'm just going to remember that. And then -1. So there we go. All right. There we are. So we're probably going to be looking the wrong way. Actually, I can see that in our menu. If we look at our spawn point here, the blue arrow shows us which direction we're going to be looking. So make sure that I have local transform on. So yeah, that's definitely looking the wrong way. So we're just going to go and rotate it like this so that when we spawn into the scene, we're going to be standing right over there and we're going to be looking into our level. Now, we're not going to be able to move yet because we haven't got any movement code in here yet, but at least that is set up. Now, the other thing that I've done is, because I've extended it from my little base scene and I have got this enable pointers thing there, you can see that that is not properly extended yet. Okay. And that's not even looking at the right one. Yeah, so that's my problem. So that's still looking at the original. Okay, load. Level. level VR. So I want to make sure that uses the VR one. Now, obviously, this still has all the code in there that there was originally. Not much in there, actually. We got a quit thing in there. Oh, that's just a quit action. Okay. We've got that we're applying our settings. And that's about it. So I'm guessing that the original player screen, yep, that has all the input. You know what? That is a good excuse to say, I'm actually going to take the robot out. Because we're going to have to replace all of that anyway. And implement our own version of that. Okie doke. So our player should be spawning into our spawn point when we load our level. And we don't have anything yet in there that allows us to move around. We're going to deal with that in a little bit. But I first want to be able to spawn into this. Now, when we go back to our menu, we can see, actually, let's go back to our UI first. When we press our play button, we are going to our onPlay function, which is over here. We're just going to emit a new signal called play pressed. So now what we need to make sure is that that play pressed actually calls the play code that is in here. So we have an onPlay pressed here that starts loading our level. It's also going to hide our main menu and show our loading. Now that's something that currently doesn't work because I'm changing that. Ooh, hello, all the way from Russia. Sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, so I'm just going to say hello back. Welcome. Alrighty. But we need to call that. Now in this case, and this is the only thing that's a bit of a shame, is because we have this scene now here as a node, we can't actually interact with it. We can't actually set something. So the only way that we can do that is doing it by code. And not in there, but in there. So we need to find our ready. So here's our ready. It does some stuff with sound effects. Oh, makes all the sound effects very easy. That's it. Probably because that robot is only there, the enemy robot is only there for our, now to initialize all the shaders. We don't want it to make any sound just yet, so that's fun. Plopsis from Finland, welcome joining us. One of the countries that I hope to visit one of these days. I have a few friends who are from Finland from the time that I was still living in Europe. But yeah, never made it there. Shame. So maybe someday. So yeah, so let's go and set that up. So the way that we do that is we're actually going to go to our UI node. And this has a function. And I can't remember what it's called. So let's hope that our auto completion works. Get scene instance, that's the one. And on that, I can now call connect, or I should be able to call connect. Let me double check if this is doing what it is supposed to do. And else I'm just going to go and so it's spatial. Where are you? Get scene instance. So that just returns a scene node, but I guess that's not typed. No, that's not typed. I need to change that in the. This was all written before Godot had typing abilities. So I'm actually going to go and do it like this. UI node. And that's just a spatial node as far as I'm aware. So we can't set nicely to spatial. And we can actually double check if we have a node. That's just being paranoid. And now we should just be able to go and do that. So our signal name in our UI, where are you? Here we go. It's play pressed. Now, one of the things that we could do is we could actually give this a type. Oh, it's actually control. So that's probably a better idea to make sure that is the proper node. We can actually give that a class name, and then we will even be able to know that we have that signal. This is good enough. And we're just going to say this needs to call on, oops, that's one too many, on play pressed. So that's going to make sure that when we press our play button, we're going to end up calling this method. Now I'm not going to worry about the the main menu and the loading bar just yet. I do want to go and implement that. So in this case, when we press the play button, maybe we should hide our UI just for now. That's probably a good idea. Yeah, so we can actually do like this, which also means that I should just be able to do this. Nicer. We already have it. And let's just say that we're going to go and hide our UI. That's also fine. That's one thing that is interesting. It doesn't disable our... what's the word? Can't think of the word right now. Doesn't disable our collision shape, but that's fine. I'm not too worried about it. I just want to have something visually happen that we know that we pressed the play button correctly. So obviously what I want to do is I do want to have a loading bar in there, but I'm going to leave that disabled for now. We're going to re-implement that in a bit. All the other code around the loading, therefore, is disabled. I do want to show our UI again if we, for whatever reason, have a problem for loading a level. Is there anything else that we want to do? Don't think so. Oh, good. All that this now does, it sets a path to our level. It then loads or triggers the loading of our path, and it does that through the resource loader. So if we have it already loaded, we immediately replace it. We don't have to go through our loading process. So that will call, excuse me, our replace scene, which is the same. That's actually on our app. On our main node, that's the same logic that originally loaded our menu. But if it isn't already loaded, we're actually going to tell the resource loader to load this in a thread. So you can see that we're creating a loading thread, and we are actually starting loading that path on that thread. And that means that our game doesn't stall while it's loading. Now, there's still a few things that do end up stalling things, especially compiling shaders. So having the enemy robot underneath the floor isn't enough. The other problem, of course, is that our camera isn't fixed anymore. We have now got control over our camera. So there's a bunch of things that we need to improve there in due time. And again, right now, I'm just after proving that this works and getting the basics in there. Those are all the sort of fine-tuned things that will take a lot of time to do, but that eventually we will end up doing. So in theory, we should be able to spawn into our main scene now. So let's just have a look if that works. All right. Hello, robot. So we can see that that thing disappears. So it's now loading our scene in the background. Our robot keeps moving, so our interface is not stalled. Now, normally you would see a loading bar here, which we're going to implement in a minute. It would really be nice if we had a loading bar, because we would have known how far we are. Come on. It's a really big scene to load, so it does take a minute. Unless it's not working. That's also possible. Which, do we have any errors on screen? No, we don't have any errors yet. There's nothing else in this room. It's all dark. Come on, game. I am not sure if this is actually working. Well, you know, one of the things, of course, is whenever you try it for the first time. Oh, I hear music change. Does that mean that something happened but it didn't switch the scene? It's also possible. All right. I think we're going to start with doing the loading bar. so that we can actually have a visual way of knowing whether it's working or not. So the way that I want to do that, and for that we are going to go to the original menu, and here's our loading scene. Actually, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take our whole UI here, and I'm just going to say save scene as branch in our menu, and I'm just going to call that loading. There we go. That's fine. Now I'm going to close that. I'm going to say don't save that because I don't actually want that change. I just wanted that scene. So now we have, where are you? Loading, loading, loading. Where's my loading gone? Did I put that in the wrong place? Here we go. So now we've created a loading scene. Obviously, we want to go and take these guys out. And now we just have our loading bar. Now, the other thing that I really want to do is I actually don't want that all the way down there. I want to have that over here. There we go. All right. Now, the other thing that I want to know is how big is this thing? This thing is 79453. All right. So what we're going to need now in our menu VR. So here we have our UI menu. But now we're going to not add a node. We're going to add a scene. So we're going to make another viewport 2D and 3D. I'm going to move that over here. I'm going to call that loading. So we were about 700 by 50. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 75. And now we need to make that the right size like this. So our width is probably pretty good, 3. But what is our height going to be then? I'm going to make my life easy. I'm going to make that 4. And I'm going to make you 100. And that means that needs to be half. There we go. All right. Move that. I'm going to move that in front of a robot a little bit, like this. Cool. This one we're going to not have any collision layer at all, because we're not going to interact with it. It's purely going to be for display. And we're going to put our loading scene in there. And I had half expected that to load right away. However, sometimes you need to restart this thing. Oh, that's also because we haven't saved our loading scene, so there wasn't anything to show yet. All right. Is it showing something yet? All right. Now, I don't know if that is because we are in design mode here. Sometimes it doesn't do the preview, or whether it's something else. Now I am going to go and do that a bit like this. Hopefully it's not going to go straight through Robbie, but we will see. You can see that it is trying to draw some things there. All right, so I'm not hiding it right now. There's nothing hidden over here, so we've got our... What's a done timer doing there? I don't know yet. We will find out soon enough once we implement that. I'm actually going to call this loading as well. And I don't really care that we now have loading twice. That's fine. I'm also going to put a script on here. There we go. So that we can do some interaction with this in a minute. Okay. All right. Let's go and see if this actually shows up. Hey, Drensoft, how you going? I'm all right, thanks. Getting a bit late, so I'm not going to make it too long today, but I wanted to get to a point where we are actually loading. Why am I not seeing anything? Oh, there we go. I wasn't tracking. Okay, so our viewport isn't working yet. Now the big question is why. Let's go into remote and see if it's actually showing up. So here we got our loading. Transparent, enabled. Is it visible? It's there. It's visible. Very good. Collision layers isn't set up correctly. That's interesting. We do have our scene here. So that should actually now be loaded underneath here. So under our viewport is our loading scene. So that seems to be working as well. But it's not showing on screen. Come on, tracking. I need to realize that whenever I put it down there, the tracking stops working. Okay. All right. All right. So what are we missing? What did I forget to do? Not that one. In our VR version, we have our UI here. We have our loading here. Now we can see that this is still not doing anything either. We have our loading screen there. So one of the things that is always a good idea to do here. Well, first of all, let's make sure that this guy is actually the right size, because that could be our problem as well. Now, yeah, I was afraid that was going to happen. Is this going to... Yeah, it is. That's our problem. That's why we're not seeing anything, because when the size changes here, all our stuff is suddenly gone. Okay, so... There we go. That one is now back. Whoops. Why is this? Oh, yeah, we can have a bit of margin there. That's fine. We don't really need it, but we can. Now this one, I want to make sure. Okay, how are we there? Yep. So we've pretty much got the whole. Let's make that 70 because we put a margin of 15 there. And then I'm going to find that the height is 50. Okay, so I think that was our problem. Because our control node was too large and it resizes that to fit the screen. It got all screwed up. All right, so when we go now over here, now probably now we do need to reload this. It's still not showing. 800 by 100, that's what we're doing here. 800 by 100 for that, so that should no longer be sizing. Let's also make sure, just do that, and that should no longer do anything with that. Ah, look at that, that was our problem as well. So our sizing options were set on. We probably want to do that on our UI as well, actually, because that has a control node as well, which is also sized. So let's have a look at what the size of that one is. So that one's assuming 1500 by 1000. In this case, we're going bigger. That's usually a lot better than going smaller. There we go. That guy is now doing good. I'm also going to make sure that's top left so it doesn't resize anymore. And if our settings come in, they are still nicely... I think those are nicely centered, but I could be wrong about that. But I think they are in the right spots. So now we should have a UI bar there. Very cool. All right. Now I'm probably going to adjust the position for that, but it's just what we have there temporarily. Now, obviously, we want to make sure that when we start that this guy is hidden. There we go. Now I also want to go and say, well, our loading, we're actually just going to go and do loading. There we go. So that's just going to be on that one. In this case, I don't think. No, we do need that loading scene in a minute. But that's gonna, we're just going to make that a normal one. So that's going to be loading node control, but that is not yet set. And instead, what we're going to do over here is loading node is loading.get scene instance, so that we can also access that one. All right. So that means that here we can say loading show. We don't have anything there that we need to worry about. Here we then have loading hide. And all we now need to do is we need to go and change those. Now, why is there loading done timer start? What is that actually going to end up doing? Now, that's one of the problems that we do have, for which we then need to go back to our old one, because we've lost the signals. So this one is on loading done timer timeout. Okay. Okay. Cool. So we need to reproduce that as well. So what we're going to do we have script here? Yes, we already have a script there. So in this case, on timeout, connect, we're going to go there. And here we're going to define a new signal. And all we're doing here is emit signal done timeout. There we go. Okay. And that means that in our main menu, I've got already too many things open here, is when we start, we want to make sure that we connect that signal. Oops, that was too many quotes. And then just simply close that one. So that's just a little delay that once our loading is finished, it's not going to immediately load. It's going to wait for, I think, half a second it was, and then it does that. Okay. So the other thing that I want to do, oh, that's only if we have an error. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know why it does it that way. That's interesting. Okay. All right. So what I now want to do, we're going to move these into here. All right. So, okay, I'm ready for loading. Loading. We're going to get our progress. Oops. And we're going to get our done timer. Okay. And we're just going to add two functions here. One is set value, new value, and we're going to go and on. Okay. So here we're going to simply do if loading node. I'm always paranoid, always double checking if my things are set. Sets value, and we're just going to go under this, boom, which means that now in our loading here, oops, yeah, we can just say new value, okay, and then in this case we do if loading node dot set error, I think I called that one, in which case we can move this one in here. There we go. All right. Hi, Christian. Welcome joining us from Argentina. Say hi to John for us. He's in Argentina as well. Alrighty, let's have a look and see if our, there we go. All right, so we can see that it went all the way to 93%, but then we were waiting for nothing just before. Okay. That means that's obviously it's not working on finishing. Now the other thing that I really want to do, where are we, dude? 3D, that's what I'm going to do. Which didn't like. So because our main menu is going to be disappearing anyway, I just want to put it more over here. So that menu disappears, and then we get that one, and we see it. Maybe make it a little bit more to the left. There we go. Yep. Okay. But now, why did it not finish? All right. So we're going to that, interactive load. So I'm assuming that we've lost... we've lost something there. But which one? I think it's the loading done that it's supposed to be calling. And then it says, yeah, wait to finish. And then it emits the signal replay scene with the new loaded thing. And then it clears it out. So the question now is, how does it know that it needs to call that guy? Because I don't see that set up anywhere. So I'm going to go and look at our original menu. All right, so we got our loading done on our timeout. Okay. Where else are we doing something with this? Okay. So loading on timer. That's if we have... oh, no, it's actually error file, end of file. Okay. So when it's finished loading, we should be getting it. I thought it was an error as in error. Okay. So we're actually going to rename that to onFinish. In which case our value should be 100 and then our done timer should start. Go and rename that over here as well. OnFinish. I'm half tempted on moving the timer in here, actually. I think that makes far more sense. I think that makes a lot more sense. So we're actually going to say 100. I'm not going to do that. Where's the loading? So our done timer, I'm actually going to create that over here. So I'm going to say timer objects. It's going to be done timer. And that's going to be that one. So we can just hook that one up right away. There we go. Which also means that we no longer need to do that. Okay, so here we're now going to do... I'm just going to call that like this, I think. No, loading, done timer starts. There we go. So we no longer care about that. We no longer care about that. We no longer care about that one. All right, so what else do we need? So half a second, one shot. Okay. So half a second, one shot. Okay. In which case, I no longer need him. All right. So now we just have that our little progress bar scene is purely responsible for our progress bar. And we actually have our timer in our main menu scene here. All right. We're going to go and rename that to menu VR so that it's easier to see that we're working on a different scene there. Okay. And I'm actually going to move that there. So if for whatever reason our loading node isn't working, we are still going to get our timer starting. That's all good. It's going to go over there. I think that should be fine. So let's have a look and see if that works now. Where's my controller? Oh, we forgot to hide that thing. Oh, that's all right. Okay, it's going to 100%. And now it's indeed struggling a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely doing something. Did it hang? Yes, it hang. Okay. What are we getting here? We are getting... oh, yeah. Okay. That is my mistake. Because the level that we are loading is the original level. we want to load the VR version of our level. Now, while we're here, we can also hide that back again. All right. We're getting close now. All right. Sound changes. All right. All right, so it's screwed up. You guys can see it, but I can't because it's screwed up. And that is because we're still loading some of our settings. So we're going back in here and we're going to make sure. Yeah, that's it. Whenever you resize your window, when you're using the OpenVR plugin, it actually screws up the rendering. That's still a bug that I need to fix. I haven't had time to hunt that down. There's a couple of people who've already reported it, so it does need to be fixed. But in this case, we don't want the window to resize, so we're just going to make sure that that is all turned off. We don't want to do that stuff. All right. Part. We want to do that. We want to do all that. We want to do all that. I think that should do the trick. Okie dokie. Cool. The other thing is I want to turn that little ball off. Okay, there we go. Looks pretty quickly. All right, I still have problems with the flickering also. Yeah, so it's still resizing something. It's still screwed up my... Okay, so why would that be? Let me think. All right, we're doing MSSAAs. That may be the reason. Because anything that triggers recreating our viewport buffers is going to give us problems with that. Okay. Okay, I can probably work around it by simply saying, yeah, viewports. Let's see if I... yeah, let's see if I make it small first. Sure, I should never make them 0. That probably shouldn't make them 1 either. But that should trigger a recreation of our... Also, I just need to turn off the MSAA settings. Because working around that properly is a little bit more work than I'm willing to invest right now. Now, you guys can't see my problem because it only happens in the headset. No, it's still going along. So I'm going to disable the MSAA settings for now until I have a time to properly fix that. So I'm going to just make a note there. Okay. I think the other things don't matter. All right, let's try it again. Let us try that again. Okay. Now I'm looking still the wrong way, so that was not working properly. And it is a lot darker than it's supposed to be, which is interesting, but that could be because of where we're starting. Although the colors in the background don't look right. But hey, it starts. It's no longer flickering inside of the headset. That's already something. Now, I don't know why I got the That might have been. Let's go here. Because maybe when I was checking that, I was actually... No, I have this on. So... Am I using the wrong reset options? I might be using the wrong reset options. Reset with keep tilt. No, that should be the right one. Keeping the height. All right, so have we got it wrong here then? Spawn points. Because I am looking that way for some reason, and I'm expecting... Well, you know, we can always do it like this and see if I'm now looking straight ahead. All right, let's make sure that we can move around. So we are now going to go into our base level scripts. And here I'm going to add a new export there, and that's going to be called enable movements. We're going to make sure that's false by default. Then on our main level, we're going to enable that because we only want to be able to move around when we're in this level here. And then when we go to our player node, first of all, we're going to add a teleport function here. But I want to start with just teleport movements. There we go. Actually, I want to make sure that that's off by default and that's off by default. And I actually want to remove that show target. That's that little bowl that we were seeing. That was just for helping out. So I want to disable the teleport by default. I need to assign my camera. Those things I can all keep the way they are. Okay. I'm happy about that. So here I want to now have an export var movement enabled. So we're going to make a function that says set movement enabled. There we go. Here, func sets enable. So that's going to be movement enabled. Enable, and then only if we're actually loaded into the tree, that's when we're going to do update movement. And now we need a function for that. Movements. And here we're going to say left hand teleport. Obviously, we're going to add other options as well, but for now, we do this. Movements. Okay, and that means that we can also call that on ready, because the thing is that our set pointers enabled and our set movement enabled are going to be called before we're actually ready, before we can do anything with those. Now, the other thing which is important is the collision of this thing. Here we go. So this is masking on just about everything. We actually only need the first three. Doesn't really matter. We could take them all, put them all on, but the first three are using. Maybe actually looking at our settings. We could even just do one, so that we really are only colliding with the level itself. So that will be good. So in theory, that should allow us to move around the level. We shall see whether we've done that right in one go. And again, I'm sitting down, so that's going to be interesting. All right. There we go. All right. Nope. Oh, haha. Forget one important thing. Haha. Oh, why is our... Okay, so Robbie is still hiding somewhere behind the scenes. Okay, that's interesting. I'm wondering if that also means that our loading screen is still there. I'll have to double check that, because it might actually not be cleaning up properly. We shall see that in a bit. Okay. What was I doing? I was going to go to our main menu and to our script here. And all that I need to do was that I need to enable the movement on the player based on the level that we loaded. So let's enable movement. There we go. You didn't know what it was. Okay. Now the big question that I have is whether this is actually working. Looks correct. Well, we'll check that in a minute once the scene is loading, because I was surprised to see Robbie on the floor. All right. I do need to add controller models to this. Whoa! I saw the tracking go completely berserk on that thing. Here we go. Ah, I am sitting too far away. There we go. Okay, something's blocking me from going forward. That's interesting. All right, so it is awfully dark in here. Okay, why did that turn around? I think my hand is not tracking properly. Hold on, what if I go? There we go. Okay, so there's something in the way here, because I'm not allowed to go and continue. So there's some sort of collision shape here that's not supposed to be there. Okay, I can go over there. Oh, there we go. We got past whatever it was. Okay, so we definitely have a collision shape somewhere in the way. Okay, but we're getting there. Now, hey, you know, this level was never meant for this, so I'm not complaining. Okay, so we definitely don't have the right lighting, so that's something that we need to figure out. Why is it so dark in here? But that said, here's our enemy. Now, he's not going to see us right now because we're not set up properly. But this thing is scary up front. Even though it's, you know, actually the fact that it's dark is making it more scary. All right, let's keep going. Here's the other guy. Now, luckily right now, ooh, I'm right in front of him. Can I go past him? No, he's blocking my way. Oh no. Okay, can I now? Yeah, I can go past him. There we go. All right. You know, even though the lighting isn't proper, for some reason it's too dark in here. I don't know why. I think it might have something to do with my main menu still being loaded. I gotta tell you, this is impressive. This is so cool in VR. Oh my god, this is so freaking cool in VR. All right, so my distance is too great. I've got a max distance. I need to change that, but that's fine. Okay. So, well, that's our teleport working. So yeah, we can see here. See, we can still see our. Well, we can't see it when we're there, but we've still got our menu loaded. So when we go over here, okay, how is this working? What's this settings node? Oh, that's the settings thing itself. Okay, so here's main. Okay, so that's our logo. So why is our menu loaded here? That doesn't make any sense. Why hasn't our level been, and where's our level? How is this even possible? How can we have our level loaded and we haven't got it in our tree? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that is our problem. That is why that is not working properly. Okay. All right, so we got to call the fur chain scene on this with that resource. So it is supposed to go in here. And we go into, okay, so did we do, no, here we're doing chain scene on that. So we're adding our child to level, which is that boy over there. Okay. So that's working for menu. But then it's not removing it here and not freeing it up. It's keeping it in. Why? Why? Is there something in our debugger that maybe tells us? Because there are a bunch of errors in there, so. Okay, signal quits is defined but never used. That's fine. It's not supposed to because it's used in the subs. Yeah, that's fine because it's not supposed to be doing anything. Get path. Cannot get path of node as it is not in the scene tree. Where are we calling get path? I don't know. I don't think any of that is what it is. Get node, not found. Done timer, that's right. We did remove that, so that can go. All right, that's cool. To be very honest, what I'm just going to do here is, whoops. You have to have that up there or else it won't work. So that's progress. There we go. And then we don't need you anymore. Makes it nice and neat. Actually, we don't even need it on the ready bar for that. We're just going to go and do this. Not worth the effort. Okay. Not to yield, but class since it's gone, that's interesting. Yeah, oh, that's because my that's what happens when the tracking is gone. So that is back unloading on that. Okay. All right. Well, that doesn't tell us anything. All right. Okay. So let's go and put a breakpoint here and see if we can figure out what's going on. So we go there, and I want to go debug, continue, boom. All right. Hit play. All right. There we go. And we're back here. All right. So that is F10. Okay. So we got our node there, and here our child node. So our child node should now be let's actually go to remote here. So there's our level menu. So our child here should be that main. Does this have a name somewhere? Can we see what it is? You know, well, it's a menu VR, so that's good. So remove, that's gone. That's now being freed. And now there our level is loaded. So what is causing it to... Okay, is it... Let's put a breakpoint there and see if we... Because that looks like it's worked properly. Continue. All right, so... All right, so that's working. We still have it that it's way too dark. It's actually lighter on screen than it is. Okay, so I've got that wrong. That's right. I remember that that was a problem. I'm just going to fix that real quick, or work around it, to be honest. And for that, we're going to go to our player, and we're going to go over here. No, over here. No, over here. Oh, I need to go to the original. Where's my original? Here we go. We are going to turn that off. We are going to... Actually, you know what? I'm going to solve that a little bit nicer. And... get imports. All right. Let's see. That should only have an effect for me, not for you guys. Play. Okay, that didn't have an effect. Why did that not have an effect? Let's see. Can we actually access it over here? Roots. Much better. Okay. Sweet. All right. Not happy with doing that like that, but much better. Okay. Now, does it have? Yeah, it has that same weird orange wash in the background for you guys as well. I'm not sure what that is, what's causing that. But at least it's not super dark anymore. So you guys probably had the colors correct all the time. Now the reason why that was a problem is because OpenXR, according to the spec, wants to get the color buffers in linear color space, which is what Godot does internally. It renders everything in linear color space. However, before your image is put on screen, Godot will convert the 3D image from the linear color space to the sRGB color space. And that brightens up the image. Now, OpenXR is supposed to do that, or the OpenXR runtime, SteamVR in this case, is supposed to do that for us. And it does on the Oculus side, and it does on the Quest, but it doesn't do it in OpenVR. So I'm just overriding it here. I know that I'm running an in SteamVR, and I'm just saying, ignore the setting that you're getting from OpenXR and just do it there. Now, that's bound to be something that we're doing wrong on our end in the plugin, but it's a bit of an annoying thing. IFIS, not much longer because it is midnight for me, so I'm probably going to give it another half hour and then go to bed. But I just want to get this to a point where I can comfortably move around, and maybe even get the enemies to figure out where I am and shoot at me. We shall see. But yeah, the basics are starting to work. Okay, so I've got the colors working okay-ish now. Don't need you anymore. You're working. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to make our other movement function in here. And that is our direct movement. So I'm just going to, again, now these are all functions from our XR tools plugin. So this is the one that controls movement with your joystick. Again, I need to assign the camera. I'm going to disable this by default. I don't want to have flying on. I just want to walk around for now. I'm good with turn. That's all good. And again, I just want to do the collision mask on level 1. That's good. And then we need to make sure that in our update movements, we enable it when we need to use it. Okay, that's cool. All right. Let's see if this works. Okay, so yeah, I do need to fix that properly, but I can move. Yay! Oh, and I'm falling down, and I'm falling down. That's a little bit nauseating. Well, Robbie is pretty fast and running. Let's go past this enemy. I think it's like a distance fog that's probably causing that. Oh, and I'm falling down here. Okay, if I go in there, I'm going to get stuck. So let's go like this. Use our teleport. I think I just clipped through. Oh, I'm falling down here. Okay. Can I go back up? Can I teleport back up somewhere? Oh yeah, we need to make our teleport longer. No, we're not allowed to go up there. Really? Come on, let me go up there. Nope, can't get up there. Can I go up here? Oh, almost. You were green for a sec. There we go. Yay, we're back up. And I fell back down. Okay, I want to make sure that that's... all right. Cool. So my little trick, putting this over here, that didn't work. So I'm just going to go, because I remember we did it in debugging. I'm just going to go and disable that for now. I just want to see if that looks proper in my thing. Oh, this looks a lot brighter now too. Wow, that's pretty nice. And I can see that light up a bit better. Yeah. All right, there we go. Yeah, I still don't know what that orange glow in the background is, but hey, I can at least see what I'm doing. Whee! Ooh. Oh, ah. Yeah, he's really fast. Okay, I want to go past you, buddy. There we go. Actually, I probably can accidentally fall off here. Can I? No, I can't. Oh, but I'm stuck now. Oh, yep. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Haha. Bye. Oh. That's what playtesting is all about. Okay. So, we now have our player walking around in our world. Really cool. However, in the original level, where is our original level? We actually had a robot that we were controlling, and it is our robot moving around that does a lot of things. So obviously we're going to go and have a look at our robot. Where's our robot? Player. So this is the original player script, where we have our robot over here. And there will be stuff in here that makes this robot work. So that's a camera that's actually following our robots. That's fine. Those are all the sound effects that when we're walking and stuff like that. So we can do something fun with that in a minute. Well, probably not tonight, but eventually. So we obviously need our shoot stuff in here. So that's actually on our bone. So that's going to be changing because we're not going to be using that. All right. However, something that we do want to do, just to start with, is we're going to go and see if we can use our little robot arms. So, all right. Those are both arms. That sucks. Is it? No, that's one arm. Oh. That's a little weird how that is broken up. Okay. Oh yeah, cannons. Okay. A little bit of the body. The rest of the body. So, actually, when we look at that, it could. I guess we could. What I'm thinking about is whether we can actually use our robot model for our player. That's going to be a little bit too much to do in a night, especially because I'm getting pretty tired. But one of the things that we could do, obviously we don't want to save that guy. Okay, so that is, okay, I don't want to import that here. I want to say don't save. Okay, boom. Now we're going to go into our player scene here. So let's do that first. Let's go and have some fun with that. DLB. Which DLB files do we have? Where's Robbie? Where's our robots player? All right, cool. Ah, hello. Okay. Enable children. We've got our animation player, but we're not going to be using that. And as long as we don't play anything, we should be fine. All right. Do I have a T-pose animation? That's not what I meant. This one. Do we have a T-pose? No, we don't. That doesn't matter. So, hide the body. The other thing that I want to do right now is we want to make sure that this guy is rotated 180 degrees because we are watching that. Okay. Now this guy's got a whole bunch of bones, but that's fine because there's a good chance that we can fake it while we make it. Because what we can try and do is make our arms follow where our controllers are. But for that, I need to do some investigation about how inverse kinematics are set up in Godot. And then apply that inverse kinematics to the skeleton here. Now that part of it is not that hard because that's just directly influencing the control points of the skeleton. We can make sure that that works. Now the other problem that we're going to have most likely is that I'm broader than the robot. I'm actually bigger than the robot. Something that I already found out when we were in our loading screen. I could see that I'm about a head bigger than the robot. So wherever my controller is going to be tracking, the hand of the robot isn't going to reach that far. So, but I think with inverse kinematics, that is not going to be such a problem. We're just going to need to figure out a way to make that work. And that's okay. We probably can. It's also going to be interesting because I'm sitting down, so I'm much lower. So that's something to take into account as well. We need to find a comfy way, and it's probably from our camera position, because we're going to know our camera position, which again is way too high for our robot. But that's going to be right here right now when I'm sitting down. So we can start looking at, okay, how can we have Robbie move that way? All right. Anyway, that's something that I'm going to probably take for something to investigate first, because that's going to take too long to look at tonight. But the other thing that I wanted to do, okay, so that's a kinematic body right now. That's fine. So we're in level 2 and 3. That's also fine. And we're a capsule shape. Now how? Well, that's all that we are. Okay. So yeah, so we've got a capsule shape around Robbie. Now we're not using our capsule shape in this case for movement. What's the raycast? So that is to make sure that he stands on the floor. We again don't need that either because we've already got that all working. What's the motion view? I don't know. But I think it's this capsule shape that is, first of all, being used to make sure that he can't walk through walls. But I think it's also that is going to allow our enemies to detect Robbie. So let's have a look at one of our enemies. Here we go. Enemy. Player detection area. And that is indeed checking layer 2. Or masks layer 2, I should say. So I bet you that that is an area. Yeah, the moment that our player enters our player detection area, that's where the robot is going to find us. So that one is pretty easy to do, because in this case we want to have that child to our camera. So we're just going to go and put a kinematic body in there, even though we're not going to do anything with that. Just going to put him in there. We're not going to control it. It's just going to be following the camera around. And I want to have a collision shape on that. And in our case, because we're only using this so that our enemy can detect us, and maybe also just using it so that I guess we can get shots. And that's actually something that we need to find out as well. So I'm actually going to go and do a capsule shape there. We're going to go and rotate that. Oh, let's see, how's that set up in our player? Minus 90 on X. And what's the size of this thing? 0.5, 0.6. Okay. Let's make sure that it's the same size. 0.6. That was minus 90. Okay. And let's just move that down from the camera a little bit, because we're only going to be using this so that we can get hit, and so that our, yeah, now that's slightly lower from the thing. That's fine. I'm not too worried about that. Now the other thing that we need to, of course, do, make sure that this guy is in layer 2, and the rest we don't really care about, because we don't care about bouncing into things, because we're not actually moving that kinematic body. We're not using it to test whether we're hitting things and stuff like that. We're just using it so that the game knows where we are. We're using our direct movement, and that's actually using a kinematic body in the background as well, but it has special logic to make sure, that we, basically the whole idea in VR, and that's actually something that we haven't really played around with this yet, is I can obviously also physically move through the world. I can actually take a step forward. I'm sitting down right now, a bit hard. When I stand up and I walk through my room, I'm actually walking through the virtual world as well. So I can walk off the map if I want. There's obviously, when I do that, I can't use my collision shapes, because if the player collision shape hits a wall, there's nothing in real life stopping me from stepping through that wall. And there are other techniques that you then use to do with that. Because if you stop the player, and in the physical world you take a step forward, but in the virtual world you stop against the wall, that's when people get things like motion sickness and stuff like that. So that's not a option, or not a good option, I should say. Okay, so this should mean that now if we go towards one of our bad guys, they're going to start shooting at us. Now, I don't think there's actually any health in this game. I don't think it's tracking health. Is it? Do we have health? No, I don't think there's any health mechanism in this game. So the enemy can shoot all they want at us, and nothing's going to happen. Which is fine. Okay. Oh, I need to hide that guy first, because I haven't. Well, it's going to be somewhere in the scene. I don't really care. Because yeah, I put that in, but we didn't actually do anything with it. Okay. Now you can see that I can only move if I'm actually on the floor. So the moment that I'm off the floor and falling down, I can no longer move until I hit the ground again. Okay. Let's see if this guy actually detects us. No, you haven't figured it out. So maybe there's more that we need to do here. He is really scary up front. Oh, what's this? I don't know why that's suddenly showing up, but oh, because he's still there somehow. Okay, that's interesting. Not quite sure what's going on there. Anyway, he hasn't found us yet, so there's more that we need to do. Well, sometimes these things are not as easy as they initially appear. Let's go and disable this guy, because obviously he's still around, but we don't want that to work like that. I have a feeling that there's a distance fade out function on that guy. But that's okay. We'll deal with that later. So we've got a kinematic body. It is moving around. Maybe I need to do it in both. Let's see. Where is our enemy? Red robots. Player detection is doing layer 2. Excuse me. Oh, that's why. Body is player or body name is target. Okay. So obviously this logic was originally written for something else. Let's go and rename our kinematic body target, and it's going to start shooting at it. So yeah, so obviously it's supposed to just detect whether the thing that gets in range is actually the player. And we are not. Well, we are the player, but we're not the original player, see. All right, now I'm still sitting down. I actually need to do this standing up, but can't be bothered. There we go, there we go. Hello, Mr. Enemy. Are you? Yeah, he's seeing me. He's coming at me. Ha ha ha. Hello. What now? He's walking, but he's not shooting me. Why is he not shooting me? Why is he only walking towards me? He's supposed to shoot me. Maybe this first one isn't set to shoot. Alright, I'm gonna go past you. What about the second guy? Is this second guy gonna shoot at me? No, he's just gonna walk at me. Okay, why are you not shooting at me, buddy? He's walking over me, that's funny. Ah, I'm stuck! Oh, I'm falling off the wall again. Okay, so why is he not shooting? Is that because he only shoots the player and he doesn't shoot the target? Oops. Alright, Mr. Red Robot. Why are you not shooting me? So, player, target, and player is body. If it's out... Oh, this is funny. Here there is actually not an or target. So if he loses me, then... Okay, so what makes him decide to shoot? And more importantly... What is making him decide to shoot, and why isn't he shooting me? I want this guy to shoot me. Oh, that's if we can't shoot him yet, but that's okay. I'm gonna work on shooting another day. I want him to shoot me. Okay. All right. Now, I have a feeling this might be because I'm sitting down, and I think this raycast is actually going over my head. I think that's what's happening here. So, let's work on that presumption and actually stand up so that we're the proper height. And why is my chair stuck on my cable? That's not good. All right, so now we can better see, how high I am. That Robbie, actually, if Robbie would stand up, he would be my height. He's not actually a wrong height for me, so that's pretty cool. All right, can I actually teleport down? Yeah, shortcut. All right, let's see if my guess is right. No, he's still not deciding to shoot. Why are you not shooting me, buddy? Hello. No. Haha. Whoa, I'm almost falling down again. He is so cool, though. Look how cool he is. But why are you not shooting me, buddy? Why is he not shooting me? What have we got wrong that causes him not to shoot me? Alright, let's have a look if there's anything else in our player that helps explain that. Alright. Let's go look at our player itself. So, and see if there's anything that we've got different. So here's our player. Alright, so let's go and do the mask thing, just in case. I don't think it matters in this case, but let's go and make sure that the mask is set. I just want to make sure that everything is set up the same. Okay. Got a capsule, that's all good too. It's not disabled. Height-wise, that looks pretty good, I think. No, I could make it probably stand a little bit higher. So I think it's a capsule that we made. So let's just move that up a little bit. All right, so that's fine. What else? Okay, so here's our ray cast with which he aims. Cannon aim, so that's what he's aiming with. How is that set up? Here's the raycast itself on collision mask 1 and 2. So basically it's checking on collision 2 to see if it can find the player. But again, the thing of course is that this thing is... Yeah, he's aiming on his height. So maybe indeed I was still too low. Because I had this actually underneath my camera. So let's make sure that this collision shape is actually high up enough. I'm actually kind of happy like that. So let's see. I still think that he's probably aiming over me. All right. All right. Oh, my tracking is completely screwing up right now. Why is my tracking completely screwing up? Here we go. Yeah, my base stations are working. Okay. Oh, I'm not holding my... Oops. Okay, now I was standing the wrong way around, so I've got... Whoa! Oh! Okay, that wasn't... Okay, I need my other controller, because... Obviously the collision shapes are set up for the actual normal robots, and not for a human being who is walking around in VR. This is what you get when a level is not set up for things. Okay, so are you going to shoot me now? No, you're still not deciding to shoot. Why are you not deciding to shoot? Why does he not want to shoot me? I don't get it. I don't get this at all. Why is he not shooting? Is my camera not moving properly? No, I can't imagine that's it. What is it then? In layer 2 and 3. Is there something else that needs to be turned on? No. Ray pickable. You're not going to tell me that that's the problem, eh? No, ray pickable is on here too. So that's not it either. What am I missing? We know that he can find me because he is walking to me, so that bit works. Exit parent, that's just making sure that that doesn't work. Now, okay, enable this off right now. What enables my shooty me? Yeah. It's ray mesh. that one, okay. Okay, laser raycast. That's the guy that I need to have a look at. So, if it is colliding, find that, okay. Where is it enabled? It's never enabled. So why isn't it enabled? So what is going on with that? Level. Okay. I'm guessing that's okay. What does that do? Where is that coming from? Export here, test shoot. What do you do? Yeah. Okay. Okay, state approach. Aim prepare time. Wait. Inside. Okay. Because it's checking if the collider is player. Oh no, but the player is set, so that's right. Okay, what are we doing with this? State approach. Are we walking towards our player? Okay. Global transform player. Global transform origin. Front of the robot is pleasant. Okay, so we just. All right. Player. How are you set up? Player is on the floor. I have a feeling that that might be our problem. Okay. Don't save. Let's go. So let's actually move our collision shape to be up. And then move this guy to be down. I don't need it to be too far down, but a little bit down. Okay. Let's see if that makes a difference. Again, I didn't write the original, so I'm just guessing out loud how it works. So let's see if this makes a difference. All right. All right. Well, he definitely can run, which I'm not unhappy about. You seeing me yet? There we go. Still not deciding to shoot. Oh! Hey, he's shooting! How? Okay, now there was a little hiccup there, and that is because that's the first time he shoots. And the first time he shoots, he needs to compile all the shaders. And now the second time he shoots, he's happy. Alright, you gonna shoot again? This is really cool. I'm gonna go. Oh, you missed! Haha! Alright, let's see if this other guy shoots me too. And he decides to shoot. Oh, yeah, you missed. Shooting again, huh? And this time he hit me again. Bye-bye. Alright. Man, I cannot believe how cool this level looks. This is the first time that I'm actually seeing it in proper color. Well, proper enough color, because there's still There's some sort of weird glow going on that we're not supposed to have. Oh, yeah, you're shooting me. Whoa. Still hit me. Okay, are you going to fall down in the pits? Yes, you're going to fall down in the pits. Poor guy. Yeah, you're stuck now. Oh, and I am falling down too. Oh. Oh, I'm not supposed to be in here, I think. But can I get out? Probably not. No, I'm stuck. Yeah. Yeah. I am pretty thrilled by how well it works. Now, it is nearly 1 a.m., so I think that it's more than enough. But bloody hell, that's cool. That is actually cool. And the other thing, I'm actually not putting an FPS counter on it, but normally when the FPS drops, you get sick real quickly in VR. So the fact that it seems to be keeping up the frame rate the whole time, and the only time that it's giving me problems is when it's, the first time those enemies shoot, that's when the shaders are used for the first time to shoot. And that means that those shaders are not compiled until that moment, and that is a hiccup. Now, one of the things that will probably be interesting to try is to run this on the 3.5 beta that Remy made, that has the new background shader compilation stuff in it. That might make a big difference. But yeah, there's some other tricks that we can do to make sure that those shaders are compiled before the game is at a point that it becomes a problem. However, regardless of that, once that first shot is done, it's butter smooth again. So, and again, like I said in the beginning of the stream, this is a 2070 RTX. This is a pretty powerful GPU. So, but it's still working better than I was expecting. Now, I still don't get why it's giving me problems with some of the colors. It's not supposed to have that red wash over it. So obviously there's something in when I set up the level here. There's a world environment here that controls a lot of stuff. It might actually be that fog that is the thing that I'm seeing. I don't know, but that might have something to do with it. I don't know, but yeah, I'm pretty thrilled by this. I really am. So, that being said, I'm going to call it a night there, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is not the end of this. Again, my goal right now is just to see if I could get it to work. And again, this is an environment that's not meant for this. This was originally a third-party little demo that Sean put together a couple of years ago. So the fact that we're now using it in this way is, yeah, interesting. But nonetheless, it is working pretty well, and we'll see. I might do more with it. I'm not sure yet. That's the other thing. There's reflection probes in here, and we've been having problems with reflection probes when we are running things in the main viewport. There's a couple of things that VR does that causes Godot to panic a little bit if you're overriding the main viewport. So one of the things that I might try and do, something moving around in here for some reason. Oh yeah, that's from the lasers from the robots, from the enemies. So yeah, one of the things that I might try is to actually add a second viewport in, and that's something that I would have to do in the main scene, so that we're actually rendering to a separate viewport and then just showing a preview on screen or something like that. I'm not sure yet. That might make a huge difference. That might make a few effects work properly. So yeah, there's a couple of things that I need to try out and I need to play around with and make good. Now the other thing that I want to start looking at is inverse kinematics and see if we can actually get the robot arms to follow our controls, and then obviously we want to be able to shoot. Right now we can't shoot yet, but we need to use the robot arms to actually aim and shoot at the enemies. So So that's something that I'm going to start looking at as well and see if I can make that work. But this is a bit of a spare time project for me, just something that I have no idea when I'll continue with it. So I just wanted to see if at least I could walk around in VR and have some fun with this. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it for me for tonight. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and don't know when my next stream will be because I'm doing these sort of ad hoc at the moment. But yeah, hopefully until next time. So good night, everybody.